dive live, y'all. We're going to do like the pre-recorded deep dives, but we're going to do it live. Markeisha said, oh, I knew it was going to happen, but it still hurt. David, said, I finished the game, so no surprise, but Sonya wasn't prepared and her reaction took me back. Ultimately, even though this was bad, he was a villain, and we love, but a villain nonetheless. This is so true. This is so true. Some of our favorite stories are watching the villain, watching things from the villain's perspective. Marvel has this thing where they love to humanize their villains. They're not really bad. They're just deeply flawed. And that was Joel. But we just happen to be rooting for Joel because he was our guy. He was the one that we empathized with. He's the one we played as. He's the one we grew with in season 1. He's the one who we saw lose his daughter and then find another one 20 years later. So yeah, this is, ooh. Now, I was sitting here and I kept comparing this with the game. I couldn't help but do it all the time, all throughout the show. Abby's backstory, when they're giving us Abby's backstory. In the game, we don't find out why she did what she did to Joel till much later. We just thought it was like a robbery gone wrong. Like, some hijackers found him. Joel said something slick and he got. But in the show, we're with Abby from the beginning and we understand her motivations. And this was a big change because, you know, in the game at first it was a revenge story, but in the show it's right off from the beginning. They're trying to make you feel conflicted, right? Kaitlyn Dever is doing a great job as Abby with her performance. She's given us so much emotional depth, especially in this episode. This was incredible. Like, she had that dream sequence, and honestly, that dream was intense, and it was intense in the game. Like, you're playing it and it's scary all throughout. You're not playing that kind of horror, but that kind of horror, like, I half expected Freddy Krueger to pop out and say, even I think this is a bit much, right? Like, but I'm curious what you guys who either played the game or didn't play the game, what are your thoughts on Abby's introduction? Does she make you sympathize with her, or are you still holding a grudge now that we've seen what happened? But yeah, let's go ahead. Let's get into this deep dive. So let me bring up my Oh, what are you saying? Maria Garcia's Maria Graciela Saez says, I felt blindsided. Yeah. It was real. Vader is a good example. Ooh, yeah, right? Because we rocking with Anakin. And even in Ahsoka, we still kind of rock with Anakin, but he is the villain. He is the villain. What happened here? All right. This is my wrong script. So let me bring up my script for us. And I don't know how I messed this up, but you guys get to see some, like, normally only the Patreons get to see this. Like, you guys are getting to see a little bit of my behind the scenes work process now. And how this happened is a mystery to me. Let me see, what else are you guys saying? I haven't played the game. It was good to not know, but Pascal carried the show. Can Bella Ramsey take the rest of the season on her shoulders? So that's going to be the question, right? Is she going to be able to carry the show the way that we saw Pedro carry the show throughout all of season 1? And I got to tell you right now, to be 100 with you, it's going to be tough, because even on his way out, Pedro was giving it to us, especially in this episode. He was doing his thing. I honestly think that, you know, I came into this season really wanting to get some time with Joel after being away from him for so long, right? We hadn't seen Joel since the end of season 1. And I really just wanted to reconnect with him and see that familiar character and face. But rather than that happening, the whole show went left. So let me go ahead. Let me see what else you guys are saying before I get started. Interview her. Kaitlyn Dever. You know, I can ask. That's not a bad question. That's not a bad question. I might be able to pull that one off. I don't feel like that one is outside of reach. So let me go ahead and see if I could possibly get into that. But yeah, let's go ahead. Let's get this started. For those of you just now joining, welcome back to The Correct Opinion, where we discuss emotional damage, game to film glow ups, and why horror is secretly therapy with jump scares. So tonight, like I said, we're going to be breaking down The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2. Then, thanks to the Patreon members for voting it on this one. It was either going to be a discussion on The Accountant 2 or Until Dawn, and our Patreon members went ahead and voted for it. So tonight, we're going to be discussing Until Dawn, the movie, not the game. But yeah, still trauma. And of course, I know we got some Ryan Gosling is now in Star Wars, and Predator might be turning a hero. So let's go ahead and get into it. We live, or is this a replay? This is live, Skylar. You made it on. You here? We in it. We in it. We in it. Let's go. There'll probably be flashbacks. It's not the end of the scenes with Pascal. We need him in the first family or Marvel Fantastic Four. Yeah, Pedro is in everything. I feel like Pedro already. It's April, and I think Pedro already has 4 movies that released this year. He's on like his second TV show. He's got a Mandalorian movie coming out. He's got the Fantastic Four movie coming out. Pedro's a busy guy. Like, I low-key be joking with E-Man and saying, I don't think Pedro has a home, right? Like, he's not homeless, but I really feel like he goes from set to set. But we'll see. We'll see. I missed most of last season, kind of skipped through season 2 premiere and went immediately to episode 2 and was devastated. Yeah, it was a rough one. But yeah, let me go ahead and get this thing started. Let's get into The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2. Yeah, you guys should be able to see this. So this episode opens with a familiar sight for us gamers, right? Abby is skinny. She's haunted. She's walking down that hallway. The vibes, pure PTSD. Now, 5 years later, and Sis is still stuck in a time loop like her trauma came with a season pass. She turns to her subconscious and drops the gut punchline. I don't know you. Woo! I don't know you? She looked at herself and said, I don't know you. That's not just internal conflict. That's a full-on identity eviction notice. You are not the person I recognize over there. Now, this is the innocent Abby looking at the Abby of today and saying she rejects her, right? It lets us know that she's lost herself. She doesn't even know who she is anymore. And it hurts. It hurts. And she puts the blame for this squarely on the shoulders of one Joel Miller. She then says to herself, you're lying, right? You're lying, as if she's in hopeful denial. Not only is she arguing with herself, but she's also gaslighting herself, like girls in 4D denial. And for the record, she's rocking a Firefly dog tag because subtlety is for non-revenge stories. We then see her wake up the next day in the lodge and hold up with the other Fireflies, aka the wolves. I guess these are the wolves. These ain't the Fireflies. These are the wolves. And they look out to see that Jackson is a whole city and is a much bigger group than they thought it was. What's cool is that it seems like Tati Gabrielle is here reprising her role as Nora. And this is the same actress who did the voice for the character in the game. Now, they changed her appearance from the game and they matched her shaved head that she's also using in the new Naughty Dog game, Intergalactic. This is the same actress. So Naughty Dog has this thing where they love to bring back the actors from the game and give them roles in the show, or just bring them back game from game. So I really like this little inclusion of Tati in this, and I love that she's carrying this new look with her as opposed to what we saw from her in the original game. Now, I just wanted y'all to get an idea of what this new game looks like. Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophecy. Yo, Naughty Dog don't miss. Naughty Dog does not miss. So I am going to be playing every game that they make, whether it's Uncharted, whether it's The Last of Us, or it's Intergalactic. I am here for it. But yeah, it's clear that not everyone is hyped about Abby's revenge tour, right? Like half the squad is ready to dip, and the other half is giving each other that we'll talk later look. You know the one, like they was giving those to each other, like when your boy orders a $90 steak and says, we'll split the bill. Like meanwhile, in Jackson, we see Ellie is catching Z's and gets woken up by Jesse, Dina's ex. Now, real quick, I like this Easter egg shot of Ellie's guitar that's gifted to her. Now, I don't know if they're going to talk a little bit more about this in the series, but this guitar is an Easter egg from the game. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out real quick. But yeah, Jesse, he messes with her about Dina kissing her the night before, but they start making their way out to patrol for the day. We see the town arming up as Jesse gives us some foreshadowing about how some of the other patrols found 30 infected hiding under the snow under the bodies of dead infected, using them as insulation. Ellie is not really interested in taking all the shit that comes with going on patrol with Jesse, and is even willing to go out on patrol with Joel instead. The problem is that Joel and Dina already dipped for patrol, so Ellie's stuck with Jesse, right? So we then see Tommy going over the plan if there's ever an emergency and things go bad in town. So I like this because we're getting caught up on more of the changes with the characters in the 5 years since we last saw them. It's been a good amount of time since the end of season 1. We see that Tommy has evolved from Joel's little bro to general of the apocalypse. Respect. I like this moment because we see so much growth from the Tommy we knew into the leader we know. Now, the stalker from last episode and the infected hiding under the snow is enough to have the leadership council spooked. So they're all on high alert. We then see Ellie and that dude that Joel punched out from last episode, and they kind of hash out their stuff from what he said the night before. And I can't tell you how hard I listened and waited for Ellie to call that stanky ass sandwich a bigot sandwich. Now that's another one. My game is no, but I was waiting for them to say bigot sandwich. Anyway, as Ellie and Jesse start heading out, they make note of the storm that seems to be heading their way. Let me see what you guys are saying real quick. I got Skylar's message blocking my face. I'm all messed up. I think there are 2 Pedros. Yeah, I know. Pedro's in a career renaissance right now, and I love that for him. I enjoyed Until Dawn the hard time. We're going to get to that. Matter of fact, I'm going to star that. We're going to get to that. I knew Joel's death was coming, but I think it would be this soon. Yeah. Does Abby know why? Oh, you know what? I'm going to star some of these. Listen, we're going to get into this. So yeah, as Ellie and Jesse start making their way out, like I said, they start making notice of the storm that seems to be heading their way. We then switch back to Abby, who's on watch by herself and is about to head inside and give up for the day when she happens to hear the neighing of a horse. And she spots 2 folks on patrol outside of the town. We then switch back to see that the town is continuing their preparations and shoring up their defenses, while we're also simultaneously noticing that the blizzard is setting in and the bad weather is affecting the signal on the walkie-talkies that they use for patrol. We then catch up with Ellie and Jesse, who are in a nearby town, I guess, and decide to hold up and wait out the blizzard. And then the 7-Eleven of the apocalypse, right? Ellie and Jesse roll into Eugene's secret weed lair like it's the grand prize on The Price is Right, right? There's greenery, nostalgia, and Eugene's ex-Firefly dog tag. Game reference again. We're on game reference alert. So if there are more game references, I need y'all to drop them in the chat. I'm gonna do my best to spot them all, but I need any of you who have gone through the game to help me along the way. Ellie's giddy, like she just found Taylor Swift tickets in the vending machine. They talk about how Joel had to put down Eugene, and we still don't know the circumstance in which it happened. Now, I'm sure that the show is going to explain, because that seems to be the way that the writers write. Straight up, that seems to be the way that the writers write. You guys know, if you've been watching me from, I study the way writers write in order to try to forecast what might be coming, and this feels like how the writers write. They tease stuff, they foreshadow, and then they do something we're not used to and they provide clear, logical, and precise answers, leaving little to no ambiguity, and I fucking love it. Anyway, back to Abby, who hears horses and tries to sneak up, but slips into a horror movie. She lands in a frozen graveyard of dead infected and quickly realizes it's actually a zombie buffet, and she's the main course. These infected don't crawl. They sprint like they just heard Beyonce drop the surprise album. She tries to carefully get the fuck out of there when she finds out that she's in the middle of a sea of dead infected bodies, and one of them mothers just start moving. They just start moving, and then more start moving, and then we see that this thing that Jesse was talking about early in the episode, remember, infected hiding under infected and using them for insulation, there's a bunch of them under the snow, and Abby starts hauling ass, but these mofos run like them zombies in 28 Days Later, full sprint. Abby is making moves and does her best to stay one step ahead of the Horde, and we get some downright gorgeous visuals and thrilling moments as she narrowly makes her way to a fence where she really starts hitting. Let me rephrase that. Where shit really starts hitting the fan, and Abby is nearly crushed by the Horde as she's crawling through this knocked over fence. One of the infected tackle her when out of nowhere, pow pow, she's rescued by none other than Motherflood fucking Joel. And OMG, Joel. He came, this was thrilling. My heart was racing. No, yes, but no. Joel, the man, the myth, the mistake, he saves her. Irony break. The dude she's hunting just saved her life. And Abby, she's like, let's go to my place. Let's go back to my place. Red Flag City. Tommy finds out that Jackson hasn't heard from Joel or Dina, and Tommy is ready to go get his mother flood fucking brother. Like what? Right out. Every 10 seconds. You hear me? Every 10 seconds. We switch back to Ellie and Jesse hanging out in Eugene's weed house when Jesse overhears on the radio that Joel and Dina haven't checked in, and Ellie flips a switch. She flips a switch and immediately starts heading out the door to go searching for them. Everyone's trying to barely hold it together. The weather is trash. The signals are worse, and the leadership is sweating. We switch back to town where the construction crew is still working on them broken pipes when they finally see those infected tendrils have infiltrated the pipes. And the way this episode is doing the buildup, the way it's like a crescendo where things are just increasingly going from bad to worse. I love this. I love the pacing of this episode. I love the setup. I love the writing. The way they did this is a masterclass, because this feels like Game of Thrones episode 7 or 8 all season long. This is way early in the season, and I have a feeling that they're not done yet. They're not done yet. We switch back to Joel, Dina, and Abby really quickly. I forgot. And they see that the infected tendrils using their hive mind powers, have informed the other infected that the town of Jackson is ripe for infection. And we see that the horde that was following Joel, Dina, and Abby have diverted their efforts and shift their attention to the town of Jackson. And this is where things really starts to pick the F up. Scouts spot the incoming horde and sound the alarm. Remember all that emergency drill foreshadowing? Yeah, it's game time now. Cue the montage, barricades, flamethrowers, chaos. It's like Home Alone meets World War Z. This scene is so freaking good. This scene is so freaking good. This is up there with any of the White Walker invasion scenes from the OG Game of Thrones. Even the one where the White Walkers invaded Mance Rayder's camp. Stuff gets real fast, with Tommy not even having the time to think about Joel anymore and having to immediately start leading the defenses of Jackson. And this is a powerful moment because we know at one point in time, Tommy would have dropped anything to save his brother. But this is an older Tommy with more responsibilities than just Joel. He has a wife and child here. But yeah, this moment is thrilling and the visuals are incredible. I know HBO. Yo, I've been watching HBO stuff for a while, and I know that when they did this, they probably really set people on fire for these scenes. Like, they don't really like to use CGI for most of this stuff in their other shows and love to give us those beautifully practical visuals. Tommy is doing a pretty good job at leading the defenses when he hears and spots a bloater among the crowd of infected and immediately realizes that, look, we're not keeping them out. There's nothing that they can do to stop the infected from breaching their walls. Once he saw a bloat, it's a boss. It's a boss. There's a boss from the game walking around. He's getting in. And am I the only one who saw this and got Lord of the Rings Two Tower vibes from this? Like that when we were watching the Two Towers at the Battle of Helm's Deep and that one orc was carrying, I think it was like a bomb on his head, and he was making his way to the wall, and none of the elves who were sniping could stop him. Like, is it just me? Because, like, I immediately thought of all that. And Tommy is out here. The bloater makes his way in, and Tommy is out here cooking the infected with a flamethrower. But the bloater, right? He stomps in like a final boss with no respawn timer. He's just here. We also see that the snipers don't think to barricade themselves onto the roofs. Like, I feel like that was a hole in their logic. They're like, all right, if they make it into the main street of town, we'll just snipe them from the roof and we'll close the door. We're not going to lock it. What's the harm in that? You know what I mean? Could have thought that through a little bit more. Like they were really prepared, but that one fallacy really messed them up. The bloater makes his way into the town and he starts heading straight for Tommy's wife, Maria, until Tommy does what a man should and draws its attention away from her. It's almost like my guy had the cheat code for courage. Like he thought he had extra lives or something or a bandage pack. He was like, oh, I got one in my backpack, whatever. But then Tommy does something wild when he corners himself into a dead end. And rather than running into any of these stores, you know, breaking the glass and keeping the chase going, he decides to make a stand. And he starts cooking the F out of this bloater. And at first, I wasn't sure if it was going to happen. Like, Tommy, it wasn't looking great. Tommy kept cooking this mofo. And even after emptying his tank on it, he almost got when it finally fell. It was like 2 steps in front of him, but it finally went down. And he soloed a boss fight. My man is a G. We switch and see the town is going through it. The town is still having a tough time because the infected have breached all the snipers. Everybody's down in the street, and it's like we're doing solo fights. We just brawling in the streets now. And the infected are doing a really good job of taking on the residents. When Tommy's wife, Maria, has the genius idea to unleash the town's dogs, and they go full Cujo versus Clicker. It's doggone chaos. And somehow, the best plan B of the apocalypse. We then switch back to see Abby, Dina, and Joel meet up with Abby's friends in the lodge, and Abby leads Joel and Dina into a trap. She almost gives the impression that she might be thinking twice about her plan, considering that Joel saved her life and everything. Until she goes around the room and makes introductions, letting her team know that that guy there, that's Joel. They immediately spring into action and take Dina and Joel's weapons while holding Dina hostage. Dina gets knocked out with an injection, which is sus, but and Joel, he's realizing that they're all ex-Fireflies. And he knows the karma bill is due. We all see this moment play out slowly, meticulously, and it shatters any of us gamers' hopes that the show might actually have a heart and consider the idea of altering the story just a little bit. And I have to give credit to the writers because it's beautifully genius how the writers told the line of writing for PlayStation fans and writing for fans unfamiliar with the game. It's a tightrope, but you feel it as a gamer. It's like, what are they doing? Are they gonna? No, they're. Oh, damn. Things pick up big time when Abby shoots Joel in the knee, and things turn the F up. And I gotta say that this is bittersweet, right? Because I've been wanting to get some more Joel screen time. And when we finally see more of Joel, it had to be like this. Abby goes through telling her story and how Joel popped her dad in the head when he took out all the Fireflies. And all through the scene, and shout out to Pedro Pascal for emoting this, you can see on his face how effed up he realizes he is. And I swear that there's a moment when you can see in his face that he looks like he's playing it out in his head, and he realizes he's not making it out of here alive. I need anybody who's watching in this stream that happens to be an Emmy voter, wake up. Wake up. I know some of y'all is in here. Wake up. We're watching a masterclass from Pedro Pascal. Abby explains how after the Fireflies got murked, she joined a militia. One of their rules is they're not supposed to murk an unarmed person, but hell, if Joel can murk an unarmed doctor, then why not? And dang it, you can even see Pedro emote the acceptance that this is where his story ends. And I don't know, is Pedro eligible for an Emmy for this? Like, he's only been in the entire show for like 8 minutes, but I swear we should put his name in the hat. Joel urges Abby to just hurry up when Abby decides to grab a golf club. And she starts beating Joel in the knee. The one that she popped with a shotgun. And even the rest of the wolves are looking uncomfortable with how all of this is playing out. And then we switch back to Ellie. Ellie. Oh my gosh. I remember this from the game, right? Like, she can help, right? That means that's why I'm controlling her, to save the day, right? That's my dad. He's in trouble. I'm Ellie. I'm the protagonist. I'm supposed to save him. She found Joel's horse's footprints in the snow, but then we switch back to Abby with Joel's face basically looking like lunch meat, as Abby is literally beating Joel to death with her bare hands at this point. Ellie arrives just in time to be too late. She almost got the drop on Abby, but Captain America's sidekick, the Falcon, blocked the shot, and Ellie got mobbed. Now, I like how this scene pays off some foreshadowing from episode 1 and how the writers were, once again, cooking. I immediately thought about how Ellie was sparring in episode 1 and demanding that her sparring partner not pull his punches. And this is why. She wanted to train for real world situations where people wouldn't pull their punches against her. And this is why they pulled their punches and never really helped her for real life situations where people weren't going to hold back. She's not prepared. Joel's death is brutal, emotional, and definitive. It's a moment lifted straight from the game, faithful, uncomfortable, and impossible to ignore. We see Abby and her crew start heading out and start making their way back to wherever the hell it is that they came from. As we see this, we also get this masterful cinematography, right? We see Jesse makes his way to the lodge over their shoulders on his horse. We get a shot of Jackson to see that the dogs helped turn the tide, and both Tommy and his wife were able to survive the horde. But there's a sea of bodies littered in the main street of town. Like, they took heavy losses throughout the night. We then switch back to see Ellie, Jesse, and Dina on horses heading back to Jackson. And they're literally dragging Joel's lifeless body on a horse behind them. And I mean dragging, not hitching him to a horse, just raw, dragged heartbreak. And then the camera lingers. Like, that scene stretches out longer than it needs to. And so does the pain. This was The Last of Us at its most unforgiving and its most compelling. So I need y'all to let me know in the chat right now. What did you think of this episode? What did you think of Abby's story? What did you think of Tommy's glow up? What did you think of Tommy's boss fight? What did you think of the writing and the foreshadowing and the answers? Drop a zombie in the chat if you saw that horde scene and flinched. I need y'all to be honest. Let me see what you all are saying. Oh, yeah, there's a lot going on here. Y'all was with this episode. So Abby got all those people killed in town, but it's okay because she got her revenge. I hope she meets a gruesome end. I'm not done with the game, and do me a favor. If you guys have finished the game, please don't spoil. Please don't spoil. But I'm going to shut up because I haven't beat the game, but I'm with you. That attack would have happened anyway as spring thaw came, just saying. Kind of, but we got to remember that the main thing that brought them to in that direction was the tendrils coming through the pipes. The real thing was, what if Joel wasn't messing with that circuit breaker in the beginning of the season and instead was doing his duty and leading the construction crew, right? Maybe he would have been there to oversee the process and caught on that those tendrils were there in the first place. Maybe. This episode was fire, even though Joel got. Yeah, this was a masterclass episode. I'm excited to see the next episode. I had a problem with this scene, Abby going off on her own. That's how they work, though. They operate in taking shifts, and she was determined. This was a reflection of how determined she was. She was the smallest person out there, freezing her butt off. But I'm gonna tell you right now, right? I know the pain of losing a parent. If my parent got murked and I knew who did it, and that person was walking around not having any consequence, I understand if you carry that pain for 5 years. Unflinching pain. Totally get it. 100%. The zombie mob was crazy. Yeah. Tommy is giving me Rick Grimes vibes from yeah, right. So this reminds me of what was the name of the town in The Walking Dead? What was the name of the town in The Walking Dead? The one that they set up the walls and the perimeters. Yeah, he was holding that joint down. She didn't know it was Joe until Dina called out his name. Yeah, because she had never met him. She had never met him. This was her first time actually getting eyes on Joel. She had a description. He's so tall. He's handsome, good looking, you know. Oh, that's what that was in the pipes. Yeah. So they let us know that in season, it might have been in season 2, it might have been in season 1, but they let us know that the infected can communicate with each other through the tendrils of the fungus growing on the walls. It's kind of like a hive mind, almost like symbiotes in Spider-Man. They can talk with each other through the hive and let each other know when something is alive. So we had that scene where the Horde was following Joel, Abby, and Dina on horseback, and they were racing back to town, trying to get away from the Horde, or they were heading toward the lodge. And then you kind of see them stop chasing them and go in another direction, with a second Horde meeting up with them and becoming an even larger Horde. That is all because of what happened with the tendrils and the pipes. Once the tendrils told everybody, hey, there's a whole town of people over here. Why are we following 2, 3? There's a buffet over here. Let's go. So that's what happened there. There you go. That's the infected pipes explained for you, Fernando. But let me know if you still got questions. Look, here we go. David said it. These tendrils communicate with the Horde to make more infected with all those people in that town. Yes. Yes. Very Lord of the Rings. I knew it reminded me of something, but I couldn't place where it was. But it was definitely that Lord of the Rings 2 scene. That big sucker in the game took all my ammo in the flamethrower 3 times and 40 bullets. They are nuts. Yeah. Yeah. And then there's one scene in the game where I think you got to fight 2 of them. Not easy. Do we know what makes a bloater? Like biologically, what makes some turn into that? So it's just an evolution of the fungus growing on them. So you got to remember, they're not zombies. They're actually not even dead. All those people are technically still alive. What happened is that there's a fungus that kind of hijacks the brain, and it's like a symbiote taking over a human in Spider-Man. I always come back to Spider-Man, but it takes over and controls the host, almost like it's controlling them from a video game, from that wherever it touches them. So its people are actually still alive, but the fungus is remote controlling them. And it's sentient. It's sentient to a degree. But yeah, so what bloaters are when the fungus overgrowth overtakes a body for so long that they turn into that. So sometimes you'll see the infected, like you'll walk into a room and there'll be a wall of fungus growing, and inside the fungus you'll see a human, like it is just embedded into the fungus, and they'll just sit there for months, weeks, months, years, until they grow so much fungus on top of them that they become a bloater. So yeah, that what we see are different evolutions of the infected and all the different directions they evolve based off of the environment they're in and what stimulates them to take on different traits, which is why now we're getting the ones that sneak, like in episode 1. The reason they're like that is because 5 years in, humans have gotten the system down. They've got a routine. They've got defenses. They're figuring out how to, survive the infected. But the infected are still hunting them. They're still the apex. They're almost like humans. So now, before they could just, be hunters and gatherers. Now they're arming up. They're improving their skills in order to hunt humans better. And we saw Ellie got overtook by one in the first episode. So that's what's going on there. Fernando, Tommy and his wife are my favorite characters. I do not like Ellie as a character. I hate her attitude with everyone. It's easy to hate teenagers because they go through this stage in their life where there's just so much angst. I know everything. You know nothing. The world works the way that I've interpreted it because I've been an adult for 5 minutes. Yeah. Trust me, I have a 21-year-old. I get it. But it's kind of, authentic writing. That's kind of like how some teenagers are, especially ones with trauma. I want Abby to suffer for causing all this, even if it was going to happen at some point anyway. I love her villain story. They made her into an incredible villain. Oh, man. I'm way behind in comments. I didn't realize. I'm not used to. Oh, we got a good turnout tonight. That's what's up. All my folks over here on YouTube, do me a favor. If you're just making your way in, you're enjoying the stream, please do me a favor. Give this video a like. Please, please, please give this video a like. And if you're watching me on X, Twitter, give this video a like as well. I appreciate all of you coming in. I know there's a lot of you guys on Twitter and some of y'all on YouTube. And I think we even are live on Rumble. I think we might even be live on Rumble. I decided to try something new there and add Rumble as a destination. Let's see. I'm sure they people on Rumble watch The Last of Us also. Why not? Where else we got? At least give the man a 2-on-1 chance to fist fight. Let him go out on the shield. Yeah, nah. This ain't one of those, because the way that Joel took out that doctor, he ain't give him that shot. Why? He doesn't deserve it. He don't deserve it. He didn't give that innocent, unarmed doctor. He used that doctor to make a point to the nurses. He's like, boom, example. The rest of y'all, now y'all too scared to tell me no. Do what I say. Right? That was the way he used that doctor. He threw away that doctor's life, and Abby is the one who suffered for it. So again, if that was one of my parents, I don't know if I'm going to be very nice. You know what I mean? I'd probably be really, really mean. Thankfully, nobody's taking it there, but I'd probably be really mean. Speaking of the Emmys, did you see the Oscars are implementing a new rule that Oscar voters have to watch every film in the category to vote for it? I hope the same will happen with the other awards. How are they going to prove that? You gotta go to an official Oscar movie theater and sign in. Like, how are they going to prove that? What is that? How's that system going to work? I'm curious about that. But yeah, let me keep going. What else are you guys saying? The game is still ongoing. Number 3 hasn't dropped yet. I mean, number 2 came out a long time ago, and a lot of times the creators have said they ain't got no number 3. Story's done. Ain't no third game coming. Didn't you see? Intergalactic. That's the new game. How in the world are they going to top this episode with incredible writing? Now, if there's one thing that we've seen all throughout season 1 is that the writers find ways to subvert expectations and still satisfy the hell out of the audience. Like, all throughout season 1, it never really went the way that I thought it was going to go. I'm like, oh, we're going to follow them, scene by scene, watching them grow. Now, we would story jump, follow different characters. It would go in wild different directions, but every episode was like a mini movie. So I think they're going to continue to give us that excellent writing. Now, people are not going to be happy because Joel is not the protagonist. Ellie story is taking center stage, and not everyone is a fan of the actress playing Ellie and her performance and her portrayal of the character. So I'm curious to see how people accept Ellie's story, no matter how good the story writing is, and the actress portraying her. So I can't wait to see everyone's reaction all from throughout the season. It feels like it was well done. I felt like it was in Helm's Deep too. Awesome episode. Yep. Lord, I hope we don't get another Game of Thrones situation where the show catches up to the source material and the show falters and nothing works. Look, from the interviews that I've seen with the creator, Neil Druckmann, he is very comfortable with ending a story. Like, he has no qualms. Like, no, that's the end. No more sequels. So I'm still playing the game to kind of see where the story goes. I know some of the game players already know, but I get the impression that it's something where it's going to be an ending, whether it's fully conclusive or definitive or anything like that. It'll be an ending. And I kind of do trust them in Neil Druckmann with the direction of the story from here on out. He's got a fantastic. He's basically the American Hideo Kojima, or Canadian. He might be Canadian, but Hideo Kojima is like a legendary video game developer. Made the Metal Gear series, known for his cinematic storytelling and excellent gameplay. And The Last of Us is like the American equivalent of a Metal Gear game. Again, fantastic. Yes, Michael Lamont, the cordyceps. The fungi are called cordyceps, which I believe are an actual fungus. The only thing is that they haven't evolved yet to the point where they could sustain the heat of the human body to survive in order to take over our brains. But if they ever evolved to, or had a reason to evolve to survive the heat of 98 point something degrees, then we'd be all screwed, because there's no way to immunize yourself from a fungus. Not yet, anyway. And this is all stuff that was explained way back in season 1, episode 1, in this flashback scene where I think it was like the 1960s. They had like a talk show, and these scientists were on a talk show explaining the way that the cordyceps parasite works, and how if anything were to create an end of the world apocalyptic scenario, it would be that. It would be the one thing that we have absolutely no defense for. So yeah, these parasitic fungi, aka evil mushrooms. Michael Lamont has it. Vic, what's going on, y'all? What's going on? I appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate you. Look, there's a whole bunch of people up in here tonight, but thank you. Always happy to see you, Vic. James Bull, happy to see. Yeah, I didn't even say hello to you, James. Appreciate you coming through. Thank you. Always happy to see you. We got a good turnout tonight. Dunman 666. Hope everyone's good. Right back at you, my guy. Hope you're having a good night. Maria says, I never played the game. I'm watching everything as a surprise. Make sure that you stay away from people who have played the game, because some of them can be, and they're not always nice people either. That doc was going to carve Ellie up like a Christmas ham. He had it coming. So, one, Ellie volunteered for it, right? It's not like they kidnapped her. Joel actually brought her for this. He was like, yo, dude, here you go. Save the world. And he was like, yeah, I'm going out of my way to use skills that I don't even use anymore to try to save the world. The Fireflies were not evil people, depending on the based on the perspective from what we saw. They were just like a different band of survivors. We got all these different factions, but they were heroes in their own way. The Oscars have a streaming platform voters can watch movies on starting in 2028. It will be required for voters to watch on that service. We'll track how far you get along. Skylar, you sound like you're part of the Academy. You know what I'm saying? You just sound like you got a lot more insight than you letting on, bro. I appreciate you giving me that insight. I'm you know what? That might even be a reel now. Like, breaking news. The Academy Awards, this is probably already on deadline. I'm a little behind. It won't stop all the voters from cheating, but it will help, I think. I hope so, because I don't like how certain movies that I know deserve more don't get more. And it's a lot of times it's because not everybody is a sort of movie. I think Neil Druckmann is Israeli. Is he? Is he born in Israel? I feel like there's a bunch of them in Canada. Israeli American writer. Okay. Israeli American. He was born in Tel Aviv, Israel. Oh, nice. Okay. He is Israeli. You're 100% right. Oh, look who showed up. This one, Ash, my wayward mod. He only shows up when there's a crowd. I appreciate you coming through, Ash. I know you're going to disappear in a second and tell me, look, I came. I was there. I was modding for you. He gets all the side eye. I need everybody to side eye Ash real quick for me. Thank you. Right, but didn't they keep Ellie's death? Like, Joel didn't know off the top when he started to die. I don't. So he didn't know that they were going to kill her, but they also didn't know. They didn't know until they started experimenting with her blood, and they were like, yo, I don't think we're going to get all the information we need at this point. We're going to have to go into bone marrow, I think it was bone marrow. So no, he didn't know that they were planning on doing that to her, but neither did they. So that's that. Look at him on his way out. Thunderbolts. Anyway, but yeah, what were your favorite moments from this episode? I need y'all to let me know in the comments. I'm going to start queuing up our next segment, but go ahead and let me know what you guys thought of this episode in the comments. I know I really enjoyed it. I'm really happy that Neil Druckmann is involved with the show as much as he was with the game. I think it adds a very important layer of authenticity to everything, and it also validates writers in other mediums to be involved with film and television. I feel like a lot of times producers and creators, when they see, I don't know, comic book writers or video game writers, they don't give them an honest opportunity to cross over into the world of film and television the way I think a lot of them deserve. Like it took Ryan Reynolds to bring Zeb Wells into the Deadpool writers room, and comic book fans might know who Zeb Wells is. I think he wrote the Deadpool comic, and it made that last Deadpool, I think, a lot better. Honestly. You know what I mean? Like it just adds that extra layer that makes things a lot more true for the people who made the content popular enough to get that adaptation, right? Like they don't just make any character into a TV show. They don't make just any property into a TV show or a movie. That property or character has to be popular enough to be considered. And that means there has to be a sizable enough audience to be considered. And to disregard the people who worked on making that character as popular as it was to be considered is a mistake, I think. Like Harry Potter did so well with J.K. Rowling's involvement to help keep it grounded or similar to the source material as to not alienate that sizable audience. Why alienate an audience? Why bother even adapting a character if you're not going to use the assets available from the people who made it popular enough to be adapted in the first place? It's just nonsensical to me. But what do I know? I'm not a producer. But yeah, what are you all saying in the comments as far as your favorite moments? Damn, maybe Joe. He didn't have to. And that's what kind of makes him a bad person. Like, even in season 1, they alluded that Joel was not a nice guy. And he already had enemies, even before Ellie met him. Like, he was like, oh, you one of them? Or one of them? Or one of them? Because I know there's a lot of people who's probably looked like he was already that dude, right? Like, it was like a lone wolf and cub story with the lone wolf having a long list of enemies to start. Calling out shots now. You know what it is. You know what it is. On site. My favorite moment was the dogs. I like the moment with the dogs, especially when we get that close-up look of the dogs. Like, I don't know what breed of dog that is. And I don't understand how they train the dogs. Like, how do the dogs know to go only after the infected? How are the dogs immune? And how do they know to only go after the infected? Like, I didn't understand how all that happened. And those dogs look like hyenas. They were like a mix of dog and hyena. Those were some wild looking dogs. Your favorite moment was the horde of infected chasing Abby and the bloater appearing. Yeah, that scene with the fence was like, it felt like it was something pulled from The Walking Dead, but just done a little bit with more anxiety and intensity. And I really enjoyed it. I wish these guys were helping The Walking Dead. They had to operate on her brain to replicate the enzyme Ellie produces that tells the cordyceps she's already infected. She would die from the procedure. Thank you. Oh man, Michael Lamont, the MVP tonight. It's not the first time. It's not the first time. He's going for the MVP of the season. 6th man of the year right here. I think it's partly a power issue. Studios want all. They are the ones giving up the money, but they look at it more like a science, right? It's like a formula, like A plus B equals profit. But it's a little bit different when it's art. Sometimes you can find an artist who always hits, a Christopher Nolan, Ryan Coogler. Then sometimes you find a character they create that always hits, a Spider-Man, a Batman. But it takes a lot to maintain the popularity of these characters. A lot of people don't notice. Batman was almost canceled, like in the 70s or 80s. Like his book was almost done. Like Frank Miller's Dark Knight saved Batman. We might not have ever got that Batman movie. But it takes the creators, a really good creator, to help elevate these characters to that status where they get adapted. And look what happened next to Frank Miller. Zack Snyder loved it. Joel having an emotional connection makes an emotional, selfish decision to John Wick everyone. Yeah. I agree. Having OG creators part of an adaptation is usually better. Personally, I think it's partly a studio should they want to take control from the creators. Yep. The doctors were not armed. He could have just taken Ellie. And again, I think it was more so just to establish himself as the alpha in the room, do something shocking, and then everybody else falls in line. You ever hear that? You remember that line? I think they say it a lot in movies. If you ever get into a fight, go to the biggest, nastiest looking person and punch them square in the nose and break their nose and make the blood run down his face, and he'll go into fight or flight, and everybody else around him will as well. It's kind of like that. He wanted to make an impression, to make everybody go into fight or flight, so it was a lot easier to make them agree to what he was doing. And he needed them to help get Ellie out of there, they would have, right? He had no idea what condition she was in. He had no idea if they already started operating on her or what. So yeah, he kind of was trying to read the room and take control of the situation. Okay. But yeah, Last of Us was a wild episode. What did I say we were going to talk about next? So I was going to talk about The Accountant 2, but again, my Patreon members voted on this because I'm trying to keep it to a 2-hour show as to what the topic would be. Was it going to be The Accountant 2 or was it going to be Until Dawn? So I'm going to give you guys my quick thoughts on the movie Until Dawn. Now, unfortunately, I'm not fully prepared to do that. I didn't do clips and everything. It was just more so a situation where I had all this stuff for The Accountant 2, but then I'm like, Until Dawn kind of feels like the way to go. So let me go ahead and pull up something I could pull up in the background and give you all my thoughts on Until Dawn. Because I was able to see the movie, and it's another video game adaptation. It just feels like it was so appropriate. You know what I mean? It just felt like it was super appropriate. Nah, I ain't messing with the trailer. Because this is how we got messed up the first time. So we'll do this. We'll do the first look, which I getting nervous. A lot of movie footage there. Hold on. Nah, I think it's okay. Hope it's okay.